You're right. No shortage of litigation right now from an antitrust perspective facing Google. But in this case right here, today is the closing argument in the remedies phase of the litigation. So we already had a liability finding against Google last summer regarding its search and how it operates, maintaining a monopoly in search. Today is the closing argument of this trial. It was about the last month or so about what to do about that. What's the remedy going to be in the litigation?
Okay, so as the judge looks for a remedy, he found them, were an illegal monopoly almost a year ago. Since then, let's see, we've had OpenAI come on the scene. We've had other competitors come on the scene. The landscape has changed.
You're right. And this is the problem, I would say, with a lot of these antitrust cases when they're brought against big tech, right? Things are changing so fast that by the time you get to a liability finding or a remedies phase, the landscape has changed quite a bit when you're trying to figure out what the right fix for a problem is. But to your point, that's right. A big star of the show here for the remedies trial was AI and what the future looks like in terms of search. Just last month, we saw ChatGPT kind of launch this shopping, function on ChatGPT that'll obviously compete with Google now. So to your point, things are really changing really quickly. Search as we know it probably won't look the same a decade from now, whether or not this case was actually brought.
So many times each day I say, I can't believe Google, how good this search is. Because what do we do before search? John and I would have to get up off the sofa, go to the Encyclopedia Britannica, which was published in 1964 in our house, by the way, and hope it had what you were looking for. Now it just...
And if I get an electronic device with, Bing on it, the first thing I do is eliminate that and go to Google.
Exactly. So, no user anywhere in the world has a problem with Google, I don't think. What are some of the likely remedies?
Yeah, you're really hitting the nail on the head here, right? And to your point about Bing or Yahoo or DuckDuckGo, a lot of folks prefer Google because Google's search algorithm, it's really been able to develop in a way that others haven't. And that's what this case is all about. Has Google maintained its monopoly by steering more searches to its products so that competitors really can't get to a place where you might say, hey, I want Bing, I don't want Google on my phone, right? So what we're probably going to see here, I would say, is that Google has all these agreements with companies like Apple, for example, where it pays Apple actually $20 billion a year so that its search properties are what's underlining your searches on Safari or Siri when you're using those on your iPhone. Those probably go away. That's a likely remedy that we see here, is that to kind of fund that exclusivity, that's probably something that's coming to an end, more so than seeing a divestiture of the Chrome browser.
I would argue, if I were a financial analyst following Google, I'd be like, that's a net positive. That saves me $20 billion, and you think I'm actually going to lose users and ad revenue? Are people going to switch then to Safari or Bing? I'm going to keep them as users, and I don't have to pay $20 billion for that access.
Right, and that's a great question, too. Does Apple even stop using Google as its search backdrop if it's not paid by Google to use it? To your point, John, right? Yeah. People love Google. So how that rolls out, we don't really know. But I think a divestiture, that's probably not actually tackling the problem that's been identified here by the court the way that ending these kind of exclusivity agreements would.
And they're not out of the timeout chair just yet, because there's other stuff happening with Google, right?
That's
Is it the
right.
same judge in the same court?
It's not. Everything seems to be happening in D.C., or around D.C., I should say. But Google's advertising technology stack, its digital ad stack, that was also found to be a maintenance of monopoly violation last month by Judge Brinkema in Virginia. So we're rolling into a remedies phase in that case. There's actually a hearing about some of the documents that'll be exchanged in that case today. But we're going to have a remedies trial there now in late September. So really not out of the woods here yet for Google and its antitrust liability.